Hello, everybody. This is Fair TV meeting on Wednesday, January 19th, 7:05 p.m., 2022. First thing we're going to do is the Pledge of Allegiance. So here we go. Pledge allegiance. You got to do it with me, okay? This is important. I don't like to feel left out. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Pretty awkward trying to do it at the same time with the lag here, but thank you,
That
everybody.
was pretty good.
So the first thing I'd like to make a motion to skip right to our guest and then go through the agenda as it is posted. Is that okay with can I have a second?
I second it.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We will go through the agenda after we chat with Greg about the fun stuff that he's talking about. So that he's here. So Paula, I'll just kind of set the stage here, but Paula was nice enough to make the connection to talk about your work at Sacred Heart and what you're doing over there and what we hope to do in addition to what Fair TV already does, which if you're not really familiar with Fair TV, is basically government access television, and like its primary function, as I understand it, is to record, film and record and make public and accessible, as many town meetings as possible. As it turns out, the Fair TV can't do all of the meetings. There are quite a few each month, but there's a handful that are considered, the ones that Fair TV will attend and film and put right on TV and ultimately put up on YouTube and so on and so forth. The other thing that the Fair TV ordinance says it can do is educational content, right? And so that's kind of where you come in. And what we talked about and what we wanted to do since I got involved was, and everybody has always kind of maintained this, is, encourage young people who want to tell a story through video to do it and give them an outlet to do it through Fair TV. Now, it's pretty obvious there's a lot of outlets other than TV out there, but hopefully this can be an interesting forum. A few folks on here who have some unique experiences as in addition to your own, who can all kind of help guide. And then we do have some sort of limitations on what we can broadcast on Fair TV, just so we don't ruffle any feathers, which is specifically like, there literally can be like no political figures on it. If we're going to do some sort of news, I'd recommend we do some sort of news that is not going to upset anybody. So sort of happy news, if you will. But that remains to be determined what we can come up with. And we'll just kind of figure it out as we go. Ultimately, we would post this stuff would go on TV, which, I mean, listen, I've been doing video a long time. And I've only had a handful of things actually go to TV. So it's kind of fun when you see your stuff on television, So, I mean, most recently, like NBC, I've seen some of my stuff, which is really cool. I'm watching it like I'm seeing it for the first time. And, the internet's awesome and everything, but there's like another level when you hit TV. It just feels interesting. So I think that's about that. So with that, I'll let you jump in and you and Paul kind of take it away.
Okay. I sympathize with you because at Sacred Heart, I was their only videographer for years, and I had a very, very limited audience. So I know what it's like to see your stuff out there, and it's like, wow. So a little bit about what I've got going on this semester and a couple of options. And currently, I'm teaching a class called Media and Democracy. And that is actually a fairly large class for me. It's kind of a hybrid class, got 25 students in it. And we met this morning for the first time. And over the course of this semester, what I plan on doing with them is 4 projects. They're going to do podcasting. They're going to make a magazine/website. They're going to do TV news. And there was another one which escapes me right now. There's, did I say magazine? It's a magazine and website. So it's a bunch of different pieces of content with the skill set that they're building upon since they started with us. So what I'm thinking is that, now I understand Fair TV, I understand the government access, and I think what you're asking is that there's some of this educational content that can be made. So what I'll do is I'll put an email together with a bunch of links of things I've done with this class. But at Sacred Heart University, we have another TV show called The Pulse, and The Pulse does a lot of local news pieces, whether it's Silverman's Farms or something happening down in Norwalk or in Fairfield or wherever it is. But there are a lot of different stories that happen every single semester that come out of The Pulse. And then there's my Media and Democracy class. So one way or another, we have some content I think would work for you, but I think we can also have this back and forth like a client relationship where if my class has one of you that's pitching an idea, we can start, moving that ball back and forth and try and figure out what to do. I don't know what kind of studios you have there, but we, of course, have 3 fully equipped studios at our building. And, our students are mobile, but we can also bring people in, get things running on a teleprompter quite quickly, produce pieces and get them out, pretty expeditiously. So if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, that's the beginning of the conversation. There's at least 2 classes that would be interested in such things. There's possibly another group of people that might be interested in that too, but they're more focused on Easton. So I don't know if what Fair TV does is Fairfield County, I'm assuming, or is it
Fairfield, straight up.
Just the town?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good enough. All right, then they're out of the picture. So that's fine.
So the first thing I'll say is that, look, number one, for this to be worth it, it's got to be valuable for your students,
Yep.
And the one thing you kind of said that perked my attention was, if we were sort of like the clients, if you will, I think there's a lot of value in when you create a video for an outside client, because this is all I do every day, and it's demanding, and some clients are easy and some clients are difficult, but that is an important thing to be able to do, is to sort of thread that needle, I think. And so that in and of itself might be kind of interesting. So working with them as an outsider who's not a teacher who's going to give it to them sort of straight about, hey, here's where we are, here's where we need to be. I think that could be kind of cool on that specific level. As far as like our production capabilities and how that plays in, I'm gonna have to let Jerry speak to that a little bit.
In regards to, hello?
Hey, sorry, Jerry. So it sounds like Sacred Heart has everything that they need to produce, videos. Is there any kind of collaboration we want to have with them on that level, with literally production?
Well, Gregory asked if we don't have a studio, Gregory. We are essentially a remote structure. We work with TriCasters, and at the moment, we sort of, because of the pandemic, we pretty much basically produce WebEx meetings. But we have a full complement of Sony cameras and lighting and audio equipment, and all the things necessary to make stand-up or a field production, a magazine show. We don't have a sit-down studio, though. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to incorporate that into the overall content, that'd be great. But however it works conveniently, they can use your equipment, our equipment, however it breaks down. As far as if they come to town to do a Fairfield piece, we're there to support it and most definitely appreciate it. So, I hope that answers the question there.
Well, this is great, because now the back and forth is, this kind of client thing where I think you have a much better understanding of the content you're looking for. We have the facilities, So a lot of times I'll say to a client, I can't do anything without your script. I need your vision. I need to understand that. I could give you my opinions on it, but I can't start with the script. It's not my story. So if you say to me, oh, well, I think we need to talk to these people, then it's just a matter of scheduling, coming in, and sitting down in one of our facilities and creating that kind of content, because that's very easy for us to do. I'm a creature of the day, whereas I think a lot of the other programs are creatures of the night. So our studios are fairly open, like 9 to 5, and then at night all the graduate programs descend on the building, and they're very busy with sports productions and other things. So if that sounds like a kind of a direction you'd like to head, I think we can easily start to schedule some things. And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think as far as the studio environment, I mean, the commission myself. I mean, over the years, I've been with FairTV for about 12 years now, and certainly a great many ideas have come forth, but because of the limitations of our ordinance, we've been sort of stymied. But the content, I think it would be great if we could do a weekly news format kind of thing where we could. The thing about our ordinance is that we're obligated to have everything balanced. In other words, we can't just have one side or the other if we're going to talk about situations in town that involve, municipal activity. But we can do them. It's just that they have to be, you have to have Democrat, Republican, and then whatever the content, the story is, or the project. Alex has mentioned and wants to frame, and the commission wants to frame this adventure. And I've often thought about stories about different town departments where you go in, you explore the department, see what they do, talk to the people, and present them to the community, because they're for the community, exist in the community. Now, there's other stories, all kinds of stories. We have to sort of stay away from commercialized things where you go into a store and some guy starts talking about next week's big sale. We can't really do that. But, there's a lot of magazine-oriented content that I think that can be created in and around and about Fairfield.
Right. So actually, Jerry, if I don't mind, if I jump in, just one that we could talk about.
Yeah, right ahead.
I thought a great idea that Paula brought up, and I'd love to hear your take on it, Jerry, is I'm going to mess up on what it's called, but the new call center that the police department.
The new emergency call center. I understand it's like stepping onto the deck of Star Trek boat, you know what I mean? So it's really pretty cool. There's a lot of good imagery, and of course it's a great thing. It's a combined thing between Westport and Fairfield, where they share this emergency center. But the chief, the fire chief, the police chief, the volunteers, there's a lot to be, explored there, and I'm certain that it would make a great story. So yeah, go for it.
Well, with that, I mean, I'm have gotten to know the police chief and fire chief, and I'm sure everybody here knows them or whatever, but they're great and super amicable to ideas that help show off the good stuff that they're doing. So I think that that's a great opportunity for a story. Do you think that that's something, Greg, that your students would be interested in?
Are we talking about the call center they put in West Campus?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's at Sacred Heart?
It's at Sacred Heart, yeah.
Oh, well, that makes it easy. You'll be able to find it then, I suppose.
We hop on the shuttle bus, head over to West Campus over there. Yeah, I haven't even seen it yet, but I know that was part of the deal of buying West Campus, is that Sacred Heart said they'd provide the space to do that call center. So that would be a great first project for us to get to know each other and see how things work out.
There you go.
All right. So then that would involve, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but that would involve obviously making the connections, figuring out what, the basis of the story that wants to be told is, and then, figuring out who we're going to put on camera, setting up interview and lighting remotely, which is, I don't know how, if you guys are all often working in studios or if they're going and doing stuff out in the field, so to speak, but
yeah, we do it all. So we go out and get the B-roll. We do on-site stand-ups. We can produce in the studio as well.
Cool. And then what do you need us for then?
To make connections, call people, schedule, make things, come to us so it's easier for us to produce those pieces. Because the students, they're undergrads, the ones I'm working with, they have limited transportation options, and they're just starting out in a lot of ways too. So it's got to be under my guidance, and you are the ones who have to direct that content. If we're producing it, you're directing it.
Okay. Cool. So I think unless somebody has a different idea, it sounds like this might be a great first project.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I just need to know. I mean, me personally, I would love to be involved, and of course would be, but this is budget season, and this is my busiest season. So we would have to work around that a little bit. But if you're looking, are we looking for an executive producer from the commission even? To do this, or is this something that, how do you want to set it up, commissioners?
I don't want to be the only one to speak, so I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna try being quiet for a minute and let other people have ideas, but I certainly have ideas as well. So.
Well, I'm happy to be the liaison between the students and the community members. I'm happy to help them set up interviews. Greg, you and I can talk about the semantics as far as how we get the people to, it sounds like it makes the most sense to see if we can get the police chief and the fire chief into your studios for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And, again,
well, why wouldn't you want to interview them right there at the call center?
Yeah, we could have them meet at the call center and shoot the B-roll and get everything there. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we could do
right where the accident is,
If I can just say, typically, if you want somebody to anchor the story, we would start at the desk like 60 minutes, sitting at a chair, and then give the preface to the story, do the introduction, and then start cutting narration together, interviews, things like that, if it's going to be a fully produced kind of piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's basically going to be like a package that probably ends up being somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 minutes with a wraparound, and I think that, again, it's up to you how involved. We need to be involved from an editorial position. We need to see the script. We need to make sure that, and we need to view the video before it goes on FairTV. But as involved as you need me to be to help the students to get the story put together, you just let me know. And
that all comes from you. That script comes from you. The people you think should be on that would come from you. So that could be like a shared Google Doc where we put in our input, we start working that script over. And that's what we do in our classes.
Right.
It starts off with a head writer who puts the ideas down, and then people start to, who's available to talk. This would be a good movement over here to edit this and put it up in this space. So that's something I think your team here, people I'm looking at here on the screen, would be, that core creative group. And then, when you've got somebody external to that to put their eyes on it, probably a little later in the process, once there's a good shape to the script.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just schedule it and start piecing it together.
If I may, when the pandemic hit, we did a series about, masks, and we called it, and we put it under the moniker of Commissioners Series. And perhaps this may be a way to frame it for FairTV as well, as opposed to perhaps a News at 11 kind of format, which I understand that's your job, Greg, and that's how you develop, work with these kids and whatnot. That's what you're shaping them for. I mean, and whoever, I mean, I guess we have to sit down and say, well, who's going to write this? I don't have any problem putting together the basics for this structure, but we don't have I just don't want to create and I'm just me saying this, so whatever the commission sees is the better way to go. But we don't really have a regular news desk oriented structure, which this may be the place to start. But I was looking at it more as a magazine format, because we don't really have a situation where we toss things. I mean, the meetings come up, they go. We've created some ancillary content over the years that are mostly field oriented, magazine oriented, but not necessarily around a news desk. But again, this could be the way to start that and proceed forward with future projects.
Right. I think this should be self-contained.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say the same thing.
And your name of the show, however you want it branded, we work on all that together. But I've got no strong ideas about that. I'm not interested in taking it over or taking it on. I'm just interested in helping put this together and bringing the talent of the students to it.
Yeah, so the feature, it should be a feature that we run that's like something like, I don't know what we're going to call it, but like community close-up. And then community close-up will be a story that's self-contained, that has all the elements that will be able to stand alone, and we can create a graphic for it. And I think that that's really what we're talking about. This is like interesting feature type of news programming that is relevant to people who live in Fairfield, something that they would want to know about.
And really, I mean, if you can get it, stretch it more than 3 minutes, at least from my perspective, these kind of projects do great between my meetings and break it up. But we want to get some eyes on it. So a 3-minute piece will come and go pretty quickly. And if there's a way to get maybe 15 minutes, which I don't know, that's a pretty long piece. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, or we could build a series of these shorter pieces. I'm just saying that a single 3-minute piece, we could certainly insert it a number of times in the broadcast day, so that works. But I just don't. The idea is to create it so we can get some eyes on it. Our viewership is a lot of times surfers, channel surfers. People looking for something to watch. Now, granted, we get a lot of looks at the meeting when the content of the meeting or the agenda is, relative to the larger community. The budget meetings get, a lot of eyes on them and one like that. We don't do commercial breaks or anything, so these items would run between our meetings.
How about if we like you said, Greg, we come up with the idea and sort of the fundamentals of the story, and then you produce it until it's done the way you guys want, be it a news format or the magazine format or any other format. But you put together a cool production that we can run on Fair TV, be it 3 minutes or 15 or 30 or whatever. It just depends on what the story that emerges out of this.
Yeah, I don't misunderstand the end.
Anybody else have anything to add on this at the moment?
It seems like a good idea. I think it'd be worth doing as a pilot, as an idea, as a concept, see what it turns out to be. And then, as you said, if it is something that people do find interesting, then there's always the possibility of continuing to do more. And then you can really package it up any way you look at it. A lot of opportunity, a lot of options there. But I like the idea of the story. Sounds good. And be curious to see how it all comes together. And of course, happy to help.
Well, there you go.
Cool. David, any ideas, any thoughts that you want to throw out there for us?
I mean, you're speaking right to, right to my area of, work that I did a lot of over the last 20 years. And I'll just say, I think everybody's on a really good concept here. I don't have anything more to offer except, like anything else, the first time, keep it simple. Don't try to do too much. I like the idea of doing these interviews at their locations. It'll simplify a number of matters, including budget, time, etc. If we can have somebody lead it and tag it, that's great, but it's not even totally necessary. You can just do, in the realm of digital media, just a simple description, simple tag, under the piece, or a little voiceover, if that's easier, which I suspect it will be. But I think the length is a good length to shoot for, and it's an easy kind of home, win-win piece. So essentially agreeing with everybody, happy to help in any way I can.
There are some examples of what we shot in the studio on my website if you'd like to check it out. I think it's under the collaborations tab, but you can go to gregorygolda.com and let me just point you to the right page.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, collaboration, and a little further down the page, you could see Public Safety 2015. The music events underneath it, that first one, Jens Wendelbau, that's a stand-up my students produced. That public safety one is shot in our studio, so you can see what it looks like in our studio. Yeah, so you get the idea.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay.
So again, listen, the really, in my opinion, the most important thing here is that this is valuable for your students and something cool for us to throw on TV and for them to be able to say, hey, our stuff's on local television, and that's cool. And obviously, like, I think some of the finer points within it all are, we will be the sort of client, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's value in that exchange. And I think it'll be fun, I can yell at somebody for the audio being too low, or I'm just kidding. I don't yell. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you first. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, whatever. Just keep me abreast and whatever I can do from my desk or whatever. I'm there. So let me know, and I'm there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So next steps are for us to come up with some sort of like basic storyline shared around the commission. We'll have, Paula, are you given that you guys are friends and are you comfortable being the liaison between Greg and the commission?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we'll figure it out from there. Cool.
I'm sure she's going to be a great host.
No way. That's your student's job. My hosting days are over, but I will be in touch with you, Greg. I will shoot you an email to your Sacred Heart account.
Great. Love it.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you taking
Thanks
the
for
time.
inviting me.
Thanks,
It's
Greg.
going to be great. All right, folks, take care.
Like I said, you are definitely the top 2 guests that I've ever seen.
Wow. Out of 2, it's like my mother's favorite child. I'm an only child too.
All right, man. Have a great night. Thank you again.
All right, thanks a lot.
Very cool. Alex.
Yeah.
One of my early on in my career with CBS, we went out to cover a shuttle landing at Edwards Air Force Base, and I was the audio pool feed. And when you talk about seeing your stuff on TV, I think one of the main highlights of my career was one of the NASA guys came up to me and he pointed up at the sky. He said, "Put your mic right there. Point your mic right there." And I did. And sure enough, bing, bang, boom, the sonic boom of the shuttle hit. And it was cool. And I said to myself, on the pool feed, my sound just went around the world, which was kind of cool. So that was my big "you're on TV" moment at that point in my career.
That is cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I guess now we'll move through the agenda. Is that all right with everybody? All right. Chairman's open remarks. I think I've spoken enough already. Vice Chairman.
I do not have anything to report,
Secretary.
but I am open to having something.
Okay, we'll keep us posted. All right. Secretary is not available tonight. He had a commitment, some scheduling conflict, and so he wished us well. We have to approve last month's minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Okay. Make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
So moved.
Somebody's got to second it. This is what I've learned is the rule. So, does anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
All right, that's good. That's good. All those in favor to approve the minutes? Aye.
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 Well, that's 3 out of 4. That'll work. Are you going to vote, David? Don't hear you.
Hi, sorry about that.
All right, unanimous. That's good. So now moving on to production manager's report. Jerry, go right ahead.
Well, did everyone receive my various reports?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anyone have any particular questions about any of it?
Well, I received a note from you about you were talking about the problem with some audio that was happening. The broadcast capabilities by Frontier has not materialized and that kind of stuff. Do you want to discuss that at all?
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll address all those things. First of all, we did have an issue with Optimum LTs where there was a failure of some switching equipment, and we had about 3 days of ear blistering sound reproduction, and they got on top of it and they replaced the switch, and quite honestly the sound has never been better. And I just had a little email exchange with the tech down in Norwalk where the hub is, and I said, is it me or does the picture seem better? And he says, well, we didn't really do anything to the picture, but if you're happy with it, don't jinx it. So everything's working fine as far as our Cablevision structure. Frontier Cable, about 5 months ago, I had heard that they were willing to upgrade we need to have the Frontier equipment that we transmit with replaced because it's failing. But so I contacted them and they said, well, if you can get the money together, we can move you to HD. And I said, oh, that's something great. I was going to apply for a PEG BISHA grant this year. The guy off, without a vid or anything, he said, it's about $25,000. So I was waiting for a quote and waiting for a quote and waiting for a quote, and several months have now passed. And I recently got a hold of it because the PEG BISHA deadline is like next week. And, he basically admitted that it wasn't going to happen. It was something that they were thinking about, and they decided against it. So we can get equipment that will replace the Cisco and the VBrick devices that we send our signal to off market. But it's not that much money, and it's not really a PEG BISHA grant application. So I've decided that I don't have any other things because at the moment, last year when we got our PEG BISHA grant about 1.5 years ago, I went out, I bought 8 cameras and a bunch of other things, and COVID came along, and I haven't used any of the $15,000 in cameras that I bought for meetings. They were all, PZT remote cameras with IP capability, NDI, and all that. And we have them. Well, as soon as I can use them, I'll use them. But at the moment, we just don't have an application for that. And it seems as though as the town pursues this Zoom meeting room structure, we may not necessarily have a job for them in the future. But again, we have them and we can use them for something, and we'll figure that out. So we won't be going. I just don't have any particular thing that FairTV needs that rises to the occasion of applying for the PEG-PICA grant. The PEG-PICA grant, for those of you who don't know, is a state grant that is funded by a percentage of all the cable companies' net or gross rather, and it's a fund of about, in some years it's as much as $4 or $5 million. And you can apply for a grant up to $150,000. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to apply for a PEG-PICA grant for $2,000. I can do that through Cable Advisory Council. And I also did have a conversation with Tom Bremer, the CAO of the town, and I explained to him, that this is something that needs to be done if we're going to maintain our Frontier cable customers. And he said, well, come back to me if you don't get the grant, because you don't necessarily always get the grant, because they do have money from the federal government, and something like even replacing the V-Brick and Cisco gear, it all has to be done through Frontier nonetheless. They have to authorize the particular equipment and make sure it interfaces with their network. But it's not that much money, and I imagine we might even be able to ask the town for it. So that's the situation with Frontier's situation. I reboot their hardware every day so that we do maintain putting out a signal, but it has to be rebooted every day. What else? We are moving, the town has announced, moving towards these WebEx hybrid meetings. And then in their official announcement, they included that, that FairTV would be there to assist these various boards and commissions with their WebEx hosting and whatnot. Now, we are not funded for that at the moment. This is something that when Alex and I go to meet with the first select woman, we'll probably have to talk about, not for next year's budget, not only for next year's budget, but if they get started with this year, we will need funding to pay our freelancers to pick up this chore. And I don't really know how that all is going to work. It hasn't been really defined, but whether or not they'll be FairTV employees or town employees or what the expectation is. But they did indicate that these hosts or potential system helpers would be, be supplied by FairTV. So when we meet with Ms. Kupchak on the 27th, this is something that we'll have to talk about. We've also picked up 2 new bodies that we will cover regularly, and that is the Charter Revision Commission, which we have been carrying, and the newly formed Rtm Redistricting Committee. Now, the Redistricting Committee is doing at least their next meeting as a phone-in program only. I'm not necessarily keen on running a radio show on FairTV, but so be it if that be the case. But we can easily get the WebEx from the meeting and run it on our VOD site, and we can insert it into our broadcast structure with some sort of graphic over it or whatever. But we can provide them with extended platform with our VOD and with our broadcast content. Now, I don't know if they're going to go to WebEx meetings with camera and whatever, but at least this next meeting is not that case. And also, one of the problems is that these boards are scheduling three meetings three different boards or commissions that we normally carry in an ordinary production schedule, but we can only put one of them on TV. We can only make one of them live. My feeling is that at least at this point in time, budget meetings get priority, and then the commission, the Charter Revision Commission, because they do a WebEx, is secondary. And then if the Rtm Redistricting Committee wants to stay with an audio-only meeting, I guess I need some direction from the commission as well. But whether or not we want to carry, that in a live format, and that's that.
Sorry, Jerry, which meeting are you asking if we want to carry in a live format?
The Rtm Redistricting Committee, they're only doing a phone-in structure. So it's a radio show, basically. It's
Okay.
not video. You tell me. I mean, my
If
feeling
there's nothing
was
else
that-
scheduled, then it's easy enough to, just broadcast that with a sort of message on what it is. I suppose, why not, right?
Yeah, well, right now, and they're going to be doing their schedule on the 27th, so I don't have the rest of their meeting schedule. But if it looks like it's shaping up where, I have to bring in, when we do when these meetings come up, where we have our regular body, like, from the five initials, the RTM, BOF, BOS, TPZ, and BOE. Now, when they schedule three different bodies from this group on one night, I have to bring in three producers to cover them. And we don't have budget for that necessarily.
Well, then go ahead and make the decisions as you've been making them with, setting a priority for, given that you don't know the meeting dates.
Well, not to think that we're leaving them behind or not broadcasting them. What I do is I will take the WebEx meeting and bookend it and broadcast that, and also put that on the VOD side, of course. But the moment, like I say, let me see here. I made some estimates on the meetings that I do have schedules for, and for this coming year, from January to July, we have 67 meetings that we regularly cover, and an estimated freelance budget cost is about $10,785. And then the BOE meetings, which always run long, the producer usually gets $175 a night to cover those, and that's $24.50. So it's a total of about $13,235 to cover our regular committed productions from now until July. And that's just about all the money we have available for freelance production. Now, I fill in and cover meetings here and there as well. So I pick up some of the slack, but that's basically where we're at. With the schedules that I have in hand for the remainder of the fiscal year, it's 81 additional meetings. So, or 81 meetings estimated. And we don't know, the Board of Ed is real big on special meetings. They do them all the time, so that adds to that number. And any other of the primary bodies, the BOF and the BOS, have a reasonable complement of special meetings that they add to their regular schedule, which, again, we have to cover. So, again,
I think
conversation.
I think you should, yeah, bring the, so everybody should know that we were asked to go to like a budget meeting with First Select Woman's office next week.
Yeah, well,
And
that was in my manager report, yeah.
yeah, and we had a meeting with them, I don't know, a couple months ago, just to talk budget, and they were toying with the idea of Zoom and how FairTV would get involved with the Zoom meetings, and then they determined that, you know what, we're gonna not have FairTV get involved with the Zoom meetings because a whole lot of data and things to post and time and budget, and apparently they got some plan for it, and we aren't really sure what that is at the moment, but the IT manager from the town is handling it right now, and it's a lot of work. And everybody knows it's a lot of work, but nobody really told. I think they wanted to handle it elsewhere, and that's cool by me. But that said, should definitely bring up all of this stuff in that meeting next week, Jerry, about this is the budget, this is how many meetings are scheduled to cover, and this is how many we can cover. So make some choices. That's it.
All right, yeah, well, I do. I just want to let you know that I am.
No, I know you will, but we can also ask them to make those choices if the budget's not there, and say, hey, here, and just lay it out, and that'll be great. And that's great that you're able to like kind of pinpoint exactly how much time and how many meetings and the budget that you need for like the year. That's very helpful. So good stuff.
Well, I did present the town budget director with two budgets. I presented him with our regular budget for the year, which is approximately $79,000. And then I presented an amended budget that would include, if in fact they wanted us to provide personnel. I have spoken with my producers, and they are interested and willing to work in this hosting capacity. But again, I don't know how the town's going to pay for it, or whether they're going to, because I personally cannot take on employees that I have to manage insurance and taxes and all that. That's not my job.
I think that's clear. So let's just bring it up and just be very clear about the numbers. And here's how many meetings you have. Here's how many meetings we have the money for. Which ones do you want to do? Or is there more money? And if you want us to get involved in the Zoom stuff, great. Who's doing it and for how much?
Right.
So let's see. It's pretty straightforward.
But I just want to bring it up again because it did get released in a document that the IT director put out to all the boards and commissions that FairTV would be available to assist them. So that's what I'm responding to in this particular item in my manager report.
Okay.
But yeah, exactly. Alex, you want it, you gotta pay for it.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Jerry. Is there any unfinished business? Do you have any? Are we good? Do you need to discuss anything else, Jerry?
The only other thing I would like to suggest or remind you of is that my contract is up for renewal in for the coming year, and I would at the meeting. I mean, I've been going over. I was seriously contemplating not, giving myself any kind of advance or raise rather, but I'm discovering that I am putting in more time, and especially if this host thing comes around and I have to manage that, then I would want to, in that discussion, perhaps I might discuss or I might bring forward amending my salary request that I provided to the town. If this happens.
Okay. Why don't you just? So sorry. When is your contract renewal supposed to happen? I apologize.
Well, traditionally, what I've usually done is around this time, I would give it to the commission. You guys have to vote on it and approve it, and then I present it to the first select woman, and then the first select woman or person signs off on it. Usually by around April or so, it's taken care of because it does have to be approved by all the bodies. It has to go through the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, and the RTM. They all have to approve it. So it does take a little time, which is why I start, February with the process.
That's great.
And so that
So
everybody,
why don't you go ahead and send us your, proposed contract for this coming year, and let us know
Yeah.
what's different in it, if anything, from the previous year, just so we can, it'll be easy for us to see that. And then we'll do exactly like you said. We'll look it over, we'll vote on it, we'll figure that out. Okay.
okay, and like I said, I was going to bring this up at this meeting on the 27th because this is town money, and it is, the first select woman is part of that process. So
Okay, great.
we'll see what she says. We'll see what she says, and then I will either amend my contract as I was going to present it, or I will present it as it is
okay.
for the February meeting.
All right. Well, we will wait for your decision on that, and you let us know. Okay. And
Yeah, well,
and the meeting's on the 25th that you've been referencing, the 27th. Just FYI.
Does that
I
require
thought it was the
our
27th.
participation?
No, it requires mine, and Jerry's, and you guys are welcome to come. I know they sort of reached out directly to like the chairman and the manager, but if somebody else would like to join, I don't think there would be any issue there, and just say the word. Okay.
You sure it's the 25th?
It's in my calendar as the 25th.
Okay.
Jerry,
I'll
you had it
figure
as
it out.
the
I'll
27th.
What's that?
I think
I
in Jerry's
wrote
notes.
I thought it was the 27th, but I will check my notes. I'm sure you're correct.
No, I wouldn't guarantee I'm correct. So we'll figure that out offline.
It's not a big deal. We'll square it up. But
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate everything.
And there is one last item. And I believe I did mention it at the last meeting. In February, we're going to do this tutorial on our TriCaster minis with a guy from Orange who's quite adept with them. We are familiar with some older equipment, but the minis are a little more advanced, and we do need some training. And as opposed to the $3,000 vendor manufacturer training course by this guy Chris Kelly, who runs Orange public government channel, he's going to come down and for about $300 get us all squared away. So that's the deal with that. That'll happen in February.
That sounds like a great savings right there. So nicely done.
No, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Jerry.
That's my report.
All right. Any unfinished business? Anybody? I don't know if we left anything off. And did we? Any new business? In our agenda, apparently we have to vote. I didn't realize that we hadn't done this, but I guess we have to vote on our 2022 officers. I had thought we had done that.
I thought we did that too.
Yeah. So
Should I be listed on there?
well, if you want to be an officer, I think, but I do think we voted on this.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I misread it. I thought it listed everybody's name.
Yeah, so we kind of went and listen, everybody on this commission is capable of, I think, doing every job, and I'm taking notes right now in place of Patrick, secretary, for minutes, but it's kind of gone just for reference. It's like it's kind of gone by like commission seniority. It seems like I came in. I've only been here a year and a half, I guess, and now all of a sudden I'm the one who's been here, with the exception of Jerry. I've been here, the longest, and so somehow that qualified me for chairman, which is a great opportunity to help out and be a part of it. So with that, I'm just trying to help the meetings go along, make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, and be a reasonable, good person here. So, and as far as vice chairman and secretary, it kind of just everybody kind of just jumped in, and then I think shortly thereafter, Paula joined, if I'm correct, and then you joined, David. And so I think we just continued right before you joined. We were all brand new to being in these roles as it was. And so we said we haven't even had like much of a time in them, you know, a few months. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll continue it
Yeah,
on for a bit. So I do
just
believe we
understood.
voted on. I do believe we voted on all of those already. Does everybody agree with that? And everybody's
Fine.
good with I was remaining chairman, vice chairman Joella, and secretary is Culligan. And David and Paula are just good old fashioned regular old commissioners. All right. I remember those days. It was great. Anyway, so that said, our meeting dates, which I believe we talked about, it's this. I don't have the list of dates, but it's ultimately the same thing. The third Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. In case we didn't vote to approve that, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve those dates. So I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but it boils down to every Wednesday, every third Wednesday of the month, just like today, 7 p.m. for our FairTV meetings. So I'd like to make a motion to approve that for the next calendar year, this calendar year.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries. We will continue to meet on our beloved Wednesday, 7 p.m., third week of the month. And then finally, does anybody have anything else to add? It's fun to see all you guys.
So, quick question, is the next one, I know this is written down, is the next one February 16th?
That would be correct.
I am likely to be flying then. Something I haven't been able to say much of in the last couple of years. So if that's the case, unfortunately, I won't be able to attend that one.
Okay, thank you. It happens, and I think ultimately, as long as we have a quorum, which I believe is 3 out of 4, or maybe it's 3 out of 5. I got to find out exactly what that is, but we'll figure that out. And
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Great. So 3 out of 5. In which case we can run a meeting and, you know, vote and do all that stuff. But if there's anything really intense or important going around, we'll make sure we get everybody's, like, you know, notes and info on that beforehand. Okay. Cool. Nobody's got anything to add. We've almost nailed an hour. So I guess I'll say I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. The motion carries. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone. And until next time.
See you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.